From your notes yesterday, we learned about speed, how to calculate speed, talked about constant speed and average speed over a certain amount of time. This worksheet will help us calculate some of those numbers, and then we're going to graph the numbers to see what they look like, and then you will do one on your own. My recommendation is, since this is a 4-page worksheet, the front page that we're on right now, this one, should be graphed on the 4th page. In other words, rip the packet apart into 2 separate pieces of paper. And then when you do on your own, the 3rd page, which is these set of numbers, it'll be easier to graph it on the 2nd page because it'll be separated. So hopefully you do that so it makes it easier for you. All right, from the notes, we talked about what speed is, and speed is defined as its distance divided by time. So you can travel some distance over a certain amount of time, and that would be your speed. So we're all familiar with miles per hour. We're going 50 miles in an hour. Now, as you know, also, when you travel anywhere, you usually don't maintain a speed the entire way. You hit the cruise control once you're on the highway, and you'll get there at that speed. But even on the highway, you have to make adjustments for the traffic. But the speed changes quite a bit on any journey. So in this, we're going to see how the numbers that show up here on your left, again, they have the time on the left and the distance aside of that. We're going to use those 2 numbers to calculate the speed. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at the questions below. Well, let's look at the data first. You can see the times starting at 0, and then the times kind of count up non-stop, 1 second at a time, all the way up to 15. The distances are how much travel has occurred during that. Actually, I'm sorry, it says the distance that they've traveled from the original. So you'll see numbers go up to 40 here, and then they go back down to 0. So in other words, they go back to the start point. This is the start point here. So there's going to be times where you're going to see the graph going backwards. So we'll answer these questions first, and then we'll graph on another video for you on that 4th sheet. All right, so it says, what's the average speed between 0 and 2 seconds? Well, again, between 0 and 2, the distance traveled, well, if you go from here to here, it looks like 0 distance traveled. And the time from 0 to 2 is 2 seconds. Well, that's pretty easy math. That's 0. Now, we'll just keep going through all these as we go down through the paper. Next question. What's the average speed between time 2 and 6? So here's 2, here is 6. So the distance traveled is 0 at 2 and 40 at the 6. So it's the travel distance on number 2 is 40. The time between 2 and 6, well, 6 minus 2 is 4. Well, that's 10 feet per second. That's the speed during that time. I'm going to be erasing these as we go, just so my paper doesn't get cluttered up with this. So hopefully you got that. Next one says, what's the average speed between 0 and 6? Now again, we're using the times now from the very beginning to 6. The first 2 problems we did subsets of the total time. So the distance between 0 seconds and 6 seconds is 40. So it's number 3, so it's 40. And now you divide that by 6. Again, the math's not beautiful on this, but it's 6.6, I think, feet per second. So the speed is now slower. The average speed is slower over the entire trip. Okay. All right, number 4 now says, where is there a constant speed between 0 and 7 seconds? There's 2 places. Now, constant speed means the speed's not changing. Well, we calculated there's a constant speed between here and here because it's 0. There's also a constant speed between here And here, because it did not accelerate there, it had one speed of 10 feet per second. And then also between 6 and 7 in this little area, it was going 0 again, because it's at 40 feet at 6 seconds, 40 feet again at 7 seconds. So those answers would be, 2 places. I had 3 places there, but the 2 main ones are from 0 to 2, 0 to 2 seconds, and 3 to 6. Constant speed. Okay. All right, I'm trying to erase this to keep it clean. Next question says, what's the average speed between 9 and 12? Now, one other thing I didn't talk about a second ago is, but the average speed and constant speed. The average speed it can go forward, backwards, slow, fast, but over a certain amount of time, the average speed is the total time, or total distance divided by total time. Constant is where it stays fixed for a fixed amount of time. So, again, now back to the question here, between 9 and 12. For 9 and 12, it says, what is the average speed between 9 and 12? Well, between 9 and 12, that's a difference of 3 seconds. So it's easy to do the time first. And it's going from 0 to 120. So that's going to be 40 feet per second. Then it says, what's the average speed between times 7 and 9? So now you have a shorter, so here's 7 and here's 9. So for that one, the time difference is just 2 seconds, and the distance traveled is 40. And that's going to be 20 feet per second. Now, hopefully you've noticed something. Between 7 and again, this refers to the next question. It says, what's different about the speed? Hopefully you've noticed that between 7 and 9, you're actually going backwards. It's going from 40 feet back to 0. So that would be what we call a negative speed, and that's not what's important for your answer. 20 is still 20 for the answer here, but it is going back to 0. It's kind of going backwards. So keep that in mind for those kind of questions, that this speed can go backwards. I'm just trying to clear my screen again for you. Okay, now, next question. What's the average speed between 12 and 15? Well, 12 to 15, that's a 3-second time. And again, there's no change. It's at 120. So that's going to equal 0 feet per second. And then it says, again, you all the numbers in front of you. I do not. For the last question, I had to erase everything. What time frame has the fastest speed? And you can look at all your numbers there and write that time frame. Just go to whatever you found over here for time frames, and here, just put your answer there. The next video will help you graph these numbers. And that's not going to go so well because I have to go back and forth between these numbers and the graph itself. All right, good luck.